Hi, I'm Alvaro Henrique, and this is the lesson for Oceano, a song by Djavan, arranged by my colleague, teacher at the Escola de Música de Brasília, Music School of Brasília, teacher Marcelo Ramos. Marcelo Ramos is a guitar and theory teacher, especially since this COVID-19 crisis. He has been more in love with the classical guitar, and he gently made this arrangement for the students at our intermediate level course at the Music School of Brasília. And I thought that this was a great option to replace some arrangements that reflect a different aesthetics from a different time. It's not so interesting nowadays to enter into a competitive school after a competitive process and then telling your family you're learning a folk song, a childish folk song. So I was looking for some replacements, and teacher Marcelo Ramos helped me making this arrangement as a great option for the students. The score can be bought at a link that I'll put below, especially if you're watching me on YouTube. And I'll also add a link for the performance of this video, okay? It uses a scordatura. Scordatura is how we call any given moment which any instrument plays in a different tuning. This is the most common scordatura in the classical guitar repertoire, which is 60th string in D. So it will be tuned along with the 4th string, and although at first it may seem a little bit awkward to read, because it's the same fingerings and the same notes as in the 4th string, it's quite easy. It's so on your first attempt on playing with this scordatura, you may reach some. You will play, for example, here, thinking that's a G, and then you think, well, but that's strange, this chord. But then very soon you will see a D and remember, and it will be quite easy to remember that it's the G like in the 4th string. So it's also very good to practice reading with this very common scordatura. Okay, I recommend you to listen to this song while you are studying it, especially if you're not used to this song. This song was very, very, very famous in Brazil. It still is, I would say, but in the 90s, especially during the 90s and the 80s, soap operas were extremely popular in Brazil. It's also popular, but in the 80s and during the 90s, people often said that 95% of all TV were watching the same soap opera at the same time in the whole country. It's extremely popular. Nowadays they don't reach that level. And there's the competition of Netflix and so on. There are many people that don't watch TV at all anymore as well nowadays. And this was very famous in one of those soap operas, and it's the kind of song that really marks a generation. People who listened to it in the 80s or the 90s for sure will remember moments of their lives related to that song. If you're not Brazilian, you may never have this experience. So it's important for you to listen to the song while you're studying, especially for you to get the feeling of it. Okay? I've decided to play it as a recitative and aria. This is a common structure, especially in opera, in Baroque and classical opera. In the recitative moment, the singer, it of course it has tuning, it has melodies, the person is singing, but it is a kind of singing that is so rhythmical, that is so in the phrasing of the speech, not the phrasing of the music, that we call it recitative. It's more close to speaking than to singing. And because of that, I'm playing with a more free tempo, because we don't speak every time in the same tempo as if there were a metronome marking us. We say freely, in the speed of thought, sometimes very fast, with long pauses, and sometimes very slowly. So I've decided to play the first part in this recitative way. Then the second part, where the music gets more expressive, like an aria, more like a song. And in the aria, there are more, the rhythm is more clear. It can often be a dance, but the melody is king, and then you have to respect the tempo, or okay, you don't need to, you won't play it metronomically all the time from beginning to end, but it's more in tempo than the recitative, okay? And the third part, the coda, I've decided to play, well, it's the end of the music, so I wouldn't say it's a recitative, but if I would play a second song with also beginning in a recitative, I would be preparing for this other song. So it's not like a recitative, but I'm preparing for a recitative. I am more free with the tempo, but not as much as I would in a recitative. Okay? Fine. So how do we get the liberty to play with free tempo in a recitative way? Freedom must be earned. In this case, you are going to earn your freedom to play free by playing very slowly. By very slowly, I mean 30 BPM, 40 BPM, okay? You will play with the metronome, counting the tempo out loud together. So, allow me to to count in Portuguese, please, because if I try to count in English, I will make mistakes. Please, so it's quite easy, you will understand, and it's easy to adapt for you in English or your native language, because you may be listening to me and you speak English as a second language as well. So please allow me to count the tempo in Portuguese. It would be something like dois, três, dois, três, dois, três, dois, três, dois, três, dois, três, but with the metronome, okay? Sorry for not being able to use the metronome. I use my smartphone as one of the cameras, and my metronome app is on my camera, so in my smartphone, so that's why I can't use it. But then, after practicing very slowly, counting with a metronome, then you'll be able to play as if you were saying, and I mean it literally. You can play dois, três, dois, três, dois, três, dois, três, dois, três, dois, três, just like you speak. literally. But first you have to speak together. Then you learn. You make a mental image of word by word, like you would do when you would be memorizing a text. And then you can say it in different speed, because you're very clear the tempo and each note. Okay? Fine. Beware of some, especially beware of your elbow. It will be your main ally in this arrangement to play all chords fully with a clean sound. For example, in measure number 6, we begin B, then we have A sharp, D and E. If your elbow is a little bit up, it won't sound the E. So place your elbow on the correct position so you can play every chord fully. And other chords, the F major with major 7th also. The elbow will need to be closer to the guitar. Or the chords, the elbow will have to be a little bit more up. So your elbow will be a great ally for you to study this music. So observe your elbow with calm and easy, and master what Maestro Abel Carlevaro said about the elbow use. So when you need to put all fingers in one position, or more than one fingers in one position, the elbow will be able to help you. The elbow closer to your body, to the guitar, will help you put the 4th finger up and the first finger down. The elbow or up like a wing, trying to fly like a chicken wing, will help you put the first finger up and the 4th finger down. Okay? Fine. There's one more fingering thing to say about this first part. On measure 12, yes, measure 12, we end with an A. So we begin with a C on the bass, then we'll have to end with an A. But although the barré, the serrilha, is written to begin on the next measure, already make the barré here. So it's easier to make this transition, okay? Fine. Beware of the rhythm on the next measure, measure 14. It's different. Okay? On the end of the section, measure 16, we have an ornament. So it's a slower note, a shorter note, and it has a straight line from each dot of each note. Then you have to play it as a glissando, okay? So it's the E. To make this glissando, just keep the finger on the string and go there. Don't think in the same, don't think the movement should be parallel to the string. Think inwards. Think in this direction. On the end, you will feel a stronger pressure on your finger, but then you release this pressure, and that's fine. It doesn't. It is tension, but so short for so little milliseconds, and it sounds so much better if you do it inwards. That is, it's okay. Measure, so we are going to measure 17. Now the aria begins. Then play more in tempo. Then, you know, especially when you do arrangements of songs for the guitar, and there are these moments on the original song which you have a long note, or the sentence is over and there is some pauses for the singer to breathe. It's very important on your solo guitar arrangement for you to keep the same feeling. And these small solos or these arpeggios or whatever that are there filling that gap need to be a bridge between emotions, because you don't have the lyrics, and because music is the language of emotion. If you lose this opportunity to keep the emotion going on and on and on and on, you will lose the listener. And especially in this piece, we begin the aria at measure 17, and there is a moment where you have the strongest emotional moment, and this is on measure 29, which is, I would say that it's this high G. This is the moment, and you can listen to the song, you can listen Djavan also doing that there. This is the moment where the people that you didn't emotion and moved so far, there is the moment you will fish the last ones and you hook everybody in the audience. But for that to work, you have to prepare for there. So every small moment which there is this uninteresting accompaniment, play it emotionally, make your emotion move. And the best way to do that is do this expressive tools that we have, dynamics, strong, or soft, agogic, ralentando, acelerando, fermatas, and so on, or color, or articulation, legato, staccato. Do it especially on the tension, on dominant chords, on tension chords, on notes that are out of the tonality, because those are the moments where the listener is sure that there will be things going on after. If you be expressive in relief moments, in tonic chords, in the tonic of the piece, then you will give the impression that the music is over, but it's not. Then it makes it sound boring. It means that whatever you're saying after that is just a repetition or something that shouldn't be said in the first place, and you're just occupying us, making us waste our time. So be expressive, especially on the tension, and this is a very good moment for that. And by this I mean measures 20 to 20 and 21. The melody is over on the high A. Then we will begin this uninteresting accompaniment. Then you have a tension chord, diminished E, going to a dominant chord, then we'll release to a tonic minor chord, okay? And in this tension chord, the E diminished chord, the dominant, the A major, is go there, be expressive, and build little by little your momentum for this measure 26. You hook the last one. So and this B flat, it's a note, very special note. Oh, Miss Marcelo, teacher Marcelo, you are amazing using this note. Because it's a tension for the dominant chord. It's a note that's not part of the tonality. This is exactly the kind of note that when the listener listens to that note, the person knows for sure there will be something there. It's like saying a verb, but not saying what's the complement of the verb. So when you just listen to the verb, you know there will be a word after. This is a powerful moment for you to spend more time, or to make a fuller vibrato, or to play it stronger or softer. It's those moments where the listener knows that something is yet to come, that you can do the most expressive things you can do, and explore your dynamics, go forte, go piano, your articulation, your agogic, hold, wait, acelerando, retardando. This is where you have a blank check from, this case, the arrangement, for you to do whatever you want to, because the listener knows that there will be things after. So just be creative there. Don't worry. So, then you will release tempo. I will have to say something about fingering here. Professor Marcelo made a very good fingering there, but because my guitar scale is short, or my hand short, or I am a little bit strange, whatever, this fingering is not working so well for me. I've decided to use a different one. You can use Marcelo's fingering if it works for you, fine, but I will tell the fingering I've used, which is, so I'll begin with the C. I play the C with finger 3, 2 on the E, 4 on the D, 1 on the C, 2 on the E also, and on the A, 1. But then, remember, your elbow must be your ally. I place my elbow touching the guitar, so it makes easier for you to place your number 1 finger below the 2. And then I change the chord with 3, 4, and 2. This is mainly the main reason why I've changed it, because when I used Marcelo's option, it was buzzing for me, and with this option it sounds cleaner, easier for me. Practice whatever works best for you. So let's go on. Repeat, and then the climax on the 27, that most expressive moment. Then you begin to release. But then, especially if you have heard the song, you will notice that the following moment is also very expressive. People usually try to make a very long crescendo here. You're already quite in the top of your dynamics here. Even if you release, you're not that soft any longer. So there is a very good way for you to keep the impression of making a crescendo, even when you are not doing that. Julian Bream was a rascal, and he used that very often. He played. Then, time to make an arpeggio. Begin softer and make the arpeggio itself in a crescendo fashion. And in the end, you're reaching the highest note in the same dynamics you have just played. But because you begun the arpeggio softer. And the listener always listens, comparing things. When the listener listens to that very soft, even if you go there in the same dynamics that just the following note, it will listen as a crescendo. I don't know how. Don't ask me how or why, but it does happen. So use that in your favor, because then you don't need to play more tense or make the guitar buzz or have an aggressive sound. This is not an aggressive song. So with this little trick that you can use in this E chord and in the A chord, you will keep the impression of a crescendo even when in fact you are not doing it. So just play arpeggios here, but begin softer. Then the same here. Okay? This final part, as I said, I was preparing for another recitative, so it's a little bit more free. The melody is clearly the first note of each measure. So regarding fingerings here, when you have the bass on the sixth string, play with the fourth finger, so you can reach the other notes. Okay. Then, because of the melodies, D, C, D, C, D, this is how the song ends. But Marcelo wrote a full D major chord with A on the highest note, not D. It's better for you to stress the D somehow. What I made was play a very slow arpeggio, stress the D, and then the A a little bit softer and in rallentando. You can do other things as well. You can even play at the beginning both D together. It's popular music. Come on, be creative. Here you can do everything that I tell you not to do in other pieces, you can do here. So please do. And it's very good for you. It is important, however, for you to stress the D somehow, or you make an arpeggio and play the D stronger, or you begin all playing the D right on the beginning, and then make your crazy arpeggio with harmonics. Have fun. Have fun.